What's going on, folks? You guys let me know if you can hear me. I have a slightly different setup and I'm testing some things out. So you guys who are watching, let me know if you can hear me. I'm using a completely different setup, so I'm going to assume that you guys can. And we're going to have a pretty decent show today. I think we're going to have a pretty good show. Yeah, we're going to have a really good show today. Yeah, I think we're coming through really good. Okay, good. What's going on, everybody? It's good to see you. It's Ernest Hale, and it's good to see everybody. To those of you who are joining on the SPK, the Spark Talks channel, welcome to our channel. It's really good to see you. To those of you who are watching from Sir Hale Speaks, it's good to see you. What's going on, Mandrell? It's good to see you. I'm asking everybody to do a couple things even before we get started. I've started a new channel with a couple of dear colleagues and friends of mine, and we're building a platform, and I need your help to help it to grow. So we haven't officially done a show together, but over time we are going to do that. I'm going to share that channel in the comments. Just give me 2 seconds. And I'm asking everybody to take a few moments, go subscribe over there. We're going to have some really good, some really deep conversations that I think are going to help a lot of people. Yeah, Mandro. So officially, I'm back today. Yeah, I've been spending time working on my degrees. I'm finishing up my MBA now. So I've been like you in school and just working on some things. So I am back now. Since you are on here, how does it sound? I don't have my normal studio equipment available, so I'm using, an osmosis device. So how does it sound? Yep, guys. And so as you see, I've added the SPK Talks. Take a look at that one. Just go to that channel, hit the like button, and subscribe for me. We want to build that platform as much as possible. Thank you, Mandra. I appreciate you, man. Let's stay tuned. I want to call you up because I would really love to get your perspective on something. So I really appreciate it. But guys, go over there to Spark SPK Talks. What we'll be doing there is each conversation that we're having will be directly for some future events that are coming up. So it won't just be Ernest Tell, it is going to be our team. You're done with school now. Salute to you. That's amazing stuff. That is amazing. Yeah, man, I finished my bachelor's in March of this year. And then I went back to get my MBA, and I should be done with that maybe around January or sometime. So I'm excited, but I'm going to give you a call after the show is done. But guys, listen, I don't want to hold your time. Mandrell, I'm glad to see you. I want to talk about a couple things, and I just want to offer perspective, from the SPK Talks platform. One of the things that we're going to do is we're going to have really good conversations, and the goal of this is to spark thought. This is why we are called Spark Talks. We want to spark conversations from brilliant people to be able to talk about and dialogue about things that are meaningful and that matter, and that ultimately lead up to us meeting together and doing some really big things. And so I got to get the elephant out of the room. I have to address it. As I've seen the whole fallout and the tragedy that happened with Charlie Kirk, I have seen a level of vitriol and hatred that I've seen before. It is just in a different fashion. And for me, it is concerning because for people who say, we have the right to speak and the right to have our opinions, and you can't judge anybody, let people be. It's almost as if we believe what we say as long as people fall into the box, their ideas and their beliefs fall in line with what we say. And we spend so much time philosophizing somebody's death more so than we talk about the injustice of the person who took a life. It's a phenomenal thing. And then you can't just deal with the Charlie Kirk thing, because this brings up other issues, particularly around race, that goes unaddressed. And so you hear Charlie Kirk and you think about the things that have happened in certain schools, in certain churches, particularly Black institutions. And so it's like, if you are Black, you can't care about white people because that is you turning your back and forgetting the struggle of Black people. And if you're white and you care about black people, then it's like, what about white lives? And I think that we have entered into a place where we have lost sight of what humanity is. And it seems like people only seem to care about tragedy when tragedy strikes their own homes. And so I wanted to gauge some of your thoughts about this. Why does it, this is just a real question that I want to pose to you. Why does it seem like if you are of a particular ethnicity, a particular race, if you show care, like, listen, if the argument is that we are disappointed in some of the things Charlie Kirk says, some of it was racist, some of it was just crass, we can make that argument. But if we're going so far to say that something was so incendiary that it deserved a crime being done on him, I think we have lost our ever-loving minds. And I'm being straight up with you. I think that we hide our prejudices behind other people's racism. I think it is something that we have to discuss. It is so easy to put the spotlight on overt structural racism and to use the magnitude of that to hide the prejudice that we harbor. I'll say this unapologetically, unequivocally. Charlie Kirk didn't deserve that. I'm not sure if you guys agree, but I want to go on record saying that Charlie Kirk didn't deserve that. Expressing your opinions, having ideas, engaging in intellectual dialogue and debate with other scholars who were there to learn, it did not warrant what happened to him. And if your contention is because he said something and because he was against these people and see, you're black and you're defending him and he's white and our struggle is over here, you're missing the whole point. You can't say that you don't like and that you disagree with racism and then peddle it. You can't do that. And I think that we're so busy hiding behind our political parties, hiding behind our race, hiding behind our socioeconomic status that we just lack the capacity to simply be human. Charlie Kirk didn't deserve that. And for every other great leader who spoke thoughts that may have disrupted the system, maybe the political system, the economy, for leaders who did good and they spoke their thoughts, trying to make change because they believed in something, and they were assassinated, MLK, Malcolm X, and so many other voices who maybe many of us don't know, expressing your ideas, no matter how radical they may be, so long as it doesn't violate our Constitution or anybody else's rights, it never deserves a crime being committed to them. So if we're saying that somebody deserves it because they shared their thoughts, I'm telling you, you're part of the problem. It is part of this reason why we are still focused on race. We're still focused on external stuff, when really at the heart of it, it's character. I know people who have the same people around them who look exactly like them. And they are identical in terms of skin tone, but they're not identical in terms of character. I don't want to just be connected to people just because we share the same religion, we share the same skin color, because we share something else. I want people who have values and character and morals, who stand for something, who have ideas, it may not agree with mine, but it pushes me to be my best. That is what America is about. And I think that we have forgotten about that. I think we have found an argument in race and we are stuck there, and we are so busy focused on the optics of it that we can't see that a husband, a father, is dead. Now you can't talk about this without talking about some of the other injustices that we see in the community as well when it happens to African American or people of color. I am saying it is as strong as that as well. Innocent people who are unfairly, unjustly, heinously murdered because somebody was upset because of their skin color, because of their politics, because they simply didn't like them. Nobody deserves to be murdered simply for having an opinion or simply existing. Two things can be right at the same time. And I think that we have lost sight of that, about what's important. And I'm concerned for who we are as Americans, but I still have hope that with God's help and with some humility and decency that we can come back. What do you guys think about this? I want to know your thoughts about what I just said. Do you guys agree or do you disagree? Now, listen, on Spark Talks, on SPK, we are about having intellectual dialogue. And the goal is not for us to agree on concepts. The goal is for us to engage in different dialogues so that maybe you have perspective that I don't have and I can learn from you and you can learn from me. And together we become better as people. I am so sick of division. I am so sick of hate. And while I understand that it is an undertone that we simply cannot escape because wherever their humans are, stupidity is going to follow. But I think for people who want to create a society in a world where your sons and daughters and your grandchildren can exist and be safe, I think we owe it to one another and to the future generations to at least have conversations that can help push us forward. What do you guys think? I may be off, but what do you guys think about that? Let me read some of the comments here. It's good to see you, Lady Hill. What's going on? Let me read some of these comments. It says, why do Democrats hate Christians? It's because it's only the religion the Antichrist fears. It's the only religion that holds its weight, the only one true God. Now, see, I understand the sentiment here. I understand the idea is that it's the Democrats. But really, I think that because there are only two major political parties, so many different personalities and characters can hide behind the cloak of a particular party. I think it's important not to assume that just because they are a Dem, that they are one way. I think it's equally as important to assume that just because somebody is conservative or Republican, that they are a certain kind of way. Character cannot hide behind a political structure. It cannot hide behind a political ideology. Behind all of that, God's not going to ask you about the political party that you were affiliated with. It's going to be about your heart, your character, how you treated your fellow man. And so I don't want to cast aspersions on the Dems, even though they seem to be representative of of a lot of the things that seem to be going wrong morally. It's not just one side, it's both. So I want to respect that. Now, to this point, I don't think that they hate Christians. I don't think that that's the case. I think that's a very strong language. And I want to be careful of that because if we wouldn't want to be labeled because we have a belief, because several people who claim to follow these particular ideals make it look bad. Now, we have to suffer as a result of that. I don't think we should do that. It's the equivalent of saying, see, Black people are aggressive. See, Black women are angry. See, Black men are violent because we have seen it has been marketed that certain people are. So everybody in that particular class or group has to suffer for it. We got to avoid that. We cannot peddle bias, particularly when we're trying to escape it. So it's not that they hate Christians, it's about character. It's good versus evil. It is God versus Satan. This is spiritual, not just political. The Lady Hill, what's going on? It's good to see you. Mandrell says, I found the man's arguments and points of view on many things deplorable, but I agree he didn't deserve that. And that's all that I'm saying. That's all that I'm saying. We don't have to agree. If we're honest, all of us, some of the things we say are deplorable to someone. Does that deserve murder while expressing your thoughts? The answer to that question is an emphatic, a resounding, and unequivocal no. Thank you, Lady Hill. Yes, guys, if you are on the Sir Hill Speaks Network, I have posted a link to our new channel. I am just one member of a new platform that we are building called Spark Talks, SPK for short. I'm going to highlight that, and I want you guys to go there. I'm going to pin this. I'm not sure how to pin it. If I got a moderator in here, pin the link that I posted. Just pin that to the top. If I got a moderator in here. Okay. Thank you, Lady Hill. So yes, please hit the like button. I really appreciate you guys. BG, let me see what you said. Do you think America should be a melting pot? That's such a big question. And the reason I say that is because there's a lot of things that we could disagree and complain about. But if we're honest, is there another place that you would go to right now and drop everything? and have the same opportunities and freedoms? The answer to that question is probably no. Maybe there's one or two places you may consider, but this is a land of opportunity, even though it is also a culture of tragedy. So I do think that we should be a melting pot. And I think whether or not we choose or want to be, we are. If you just think about the history of this country, how it was founded, how everybody got here, whether we wanted to be or not, we are now, and we have to make the best of it. Russell says, good to see you, Russell. He says, and iniquity shall abound, the love of many shall wax cold. This is exactly what I'm talking about. The Bible records this. Now, Jesus said this. I want to say, Russell, you pulled this from Matthew, correct? This is when Jesus is talking about, certain things that are going to happen at the end. And it is because people's heart are so focused on their own biases and their beliefs that they're so impressed with their own prideful thinking that love can't exist there. Like, love can't exist in a prideful heart. You become so in love with yourself and your opinions that you don't leave any room for God, who came experiencing prejudice, who came experiencing hatred, and who was betrayed by people he loved and demonized people who he tried to serve. So I think this is a very good thing. And I think that for all of us Christians, whether we like this or not, if we claim that we have faith in Jesus Christ, we are going to experience this as well. And it is, if the same scripture talks about, if the world hated Jesus, it's also going to hate us. But it gives us good news that he has overcome the world, and we will too. So thank you so much. BG Tall says, I think melting pot might be the most structurally strong. I think that in a more homogenous community, it is easier to work. I think I understand what you're saying. BG, hang on there. I'm likely gonna drop the link. I'm going to drop the link. I want you to come up here because I want to make sure I understand what you're saying so that I can give you an educated response. Yep, I can answer your question just responding to this. The Lady Hell says, I agree that nobody should be killed because of their opinions. Honestly, it's a shame the things people say about people when the man did not deserve to die because of his opinion. Absolutely. Guys, let's just be real. It's just us right now. All of us have said some things that have been incendiary, whether this is in a private relationship with family. And if we're saying that in the context of family or in the public, the moment you say something that is let's just call it, it's bad what you say. You're telling me you would say this, the next time I say something like this, I should meet the same fate. Are you willing to go so far to say that? If the answer to the question is no, and only a madman will say yes, so that their pride can be assuaged by the feeling of rightness, if you wouldn't sign yourself up for the same fate, then I want to give that same grace to somebody else. Charlie Kirk simply did not deserve that. All right. Abijital says, I agree that we have a divided mass of people by a dividing group that is unified. I like what you're saying. I know where you're going with this. I think that a lot of what we see is engineered in many ways. I 100% believe this. And I think this is why it is important for Americans, for everybody who is here, to make sure that we stay intellectually engaged and that we don't get our source of information from media sources that are curated in such a way that feeds our own political biases. I think we have to read and research and get a chance to talk to people for ourselves, because just watching TV and clips will have you thinking everybody else horrible, and that is simply not the case. All right. The Lady Hell says, I didn't agree with everything he said. However, I get rage bait as well. It's just sad, cost him his life. Nobody deserved to die because of their opinion. Absolutely agree, 100%. Bob, good to see you. I'm not sure if I've seen you before, but glad that you're here. Democrats be zesty, that's why. I mean, I understand this. I get you. Bob says, technically, Jesus was a liberal. No, Jesus liberated. Jesus was not a political affiliation. He wasn't a part of a denomination. He is God. He doesn't sit in a party. The government rests on his shoulder. He doesn't pick sides. He is himself. And the only right side is his. So he is not a liberal, but I think I understand the philosophical argument that you're making. I think I get what you're saying. Tommy Jones, do you agree with the truth? Absolutely. Dr. Steele, it's good to see you. Glad that you're here. It's been a minute. Glad to see you. Lucy, is good to see you. She says, God bless you all. God bless you. Thank you for being here. Yes, Lady Hell, yes, it does. It does go to a different, I understand it goes to this page. Is there a different link? Hang on one second. Sorry about that. Give me 2 seconds. Oh, you're right. I see what you're saying. Yes, I'm going to post the right link in there right now. Everybody who's on here, we're my team and I. So we have Dr. Sherilyn Payne, we have Daniel Jones, great, brilliant thinkers, great platforms. We're starting a movement together, a different channel and some business. I just posted the link to that particular channel. Everybody, please take 60 seconds. Well, take 10 seconds. Go over there, hit the subscribe button. So what we're doing tonight, even though you guys see my page, I'm only here on my page for this particular topic, just to bring awareness to that channel. Go like SPK Talks, Spark Talks, SPK for short. Go subscribe to that channel. We're going to have really good, engaging conversations there, and you do not want to miss out. While you guys are doing that, I'm going to read some more. Lucy puts up the hands. She says, yes, praise the Lord. Yes. Dr. How, what, where? It's good to see you. I think this is the first time I'm seeing you. Glad that you're here. Jesus is buried in, okay, interesting. Jerry says, why does the Bible condone slavery rather than disallow it? No, so a lot of people, when you read, I want to say I think it's either Colossians or Titus, or maybe both, where the Bible talks about how masters ought to obey their servants, although slaves ought to obey their master. And that particular time, we're not talking about the whip out. We're not talking about the objectification, the beating of them. We're talking about in a morally sound way where people who are subjected to their masters, they were supposed to give them respect. If you look at history indicates that when it comes to slave, particularly for African Americans, there was a slave Bible that was created that was designed to create a misperception of what that meant in the Bible. So a lot of times people who had evil hearts took the scriptures and manipulated them either by omitting or adding different elements to it to make it fit their own particular evil demonic narrative. And so while the Bible does not disallow it, it is because masters had a particular way that they were supposed to take care of their slaves or servants. It is only in more recent times that we see that they have taken that particular scripture and used it as a weapon to not only wield physical power, but also spiritual power, so that servants or slaves who don't do whatever they say do risk not only physical harm, but spiritual damnation as well. It is a demonic thing, and God's going to deal with everybody who manipulates the scripture in that way. Fox Mulder says, what is your take on men and women that kiss and cling on to social ladder? I am not sure what you mean by this. Fox says, I'm not sure what you mean by this. Can you give me some clarity? Give me some clarity. I want to make sure I understand what you're saying. Tommy says, help me define the truth, please. Yes, tell me what questions you have and we can make sure we do that. God is for retards. Okay. I think I got what's going on here. Yep. It's good to see you, Chaos Rain. Chaos Rain. It is H-A-L-E. We've been going over this for 2 years, my man. Sir, H-A-L-E. Sir Hale. But it's good to see you, man. How you been? How's your platform? How are things going for you? I'm glad to see you guys. You have any more questions? I think this is such a beautiful thing for us to be able to dialogue. And even if we don't agree on everything, I think it's important for us to have the conversation. Any questions on this? Good. I'm glad to hear that, Chaos. Really glad to hear that. I'm going to have to come check you out soon. I'm going to be spending some more time doing this. So I'm looking forward to talking with you again soon. I'm glad that everything is well. Everybody, really quickly, I want to talk about this, the high value conversation. Have you guys invited somebody to join the stream? If you haven't invited somebody to join the stream, tell them to come join the stream. We're going to talk about this. Guys, we got to talk about the high value conversation because it has simply gotten out of hand. The high value conversation is not a standard. The high value conversation really just appeals to people who have a particular set of values that they think are highly important. The whole high value conversation, if it's just about aesthetics, just about money, has nothing to do about values in terms of morality. It is really an appeal to our own sense of entitlement, where we think that because we have a certain amount of beauty, a certain appearance, a certain aesthetic, that we deserve more than the common person based on those things, which are temporary. No one's ever going to stay as fine as they are for now. There are some, but most of us are regular people. And I think high value cannot just be what you have on the outside. What happens in times of war? What happens in times of issues or plagues, or what happens in times of that? If we don't have character and morality and ethics and decency, what good is being able to buy anything just to come home to a place where there was violence or malevolence, or there was a lack of concern, or you lose your health? Guys, the high value conversation has gone on for so long that everybody wants a high value man without even understanding the values that the high value man has. I think it's the same thing with our sisters, that we have focused so much on the appearance of stuff, that about the six figures and the height. Guys, what good is appearance if that's not really who you are on the inside? I'm telling you a truth as a 38-year-old man. You can get a beautiful woman, but if she lacks character, her lack of character makes how she looks on the outside, her pulchritude, it makes it go down. It's the very same thing with men. And ladies, you'll get enough of this. This is why you see fine women who are able to attract all kinds of men eventually get old enough to realize that there were simply some things money cannot buy. So let's get away from the whole high value conversation and leaving it on materialistic thing. And let's make the high value conversation more about who the person is, their belief system, their faith, their work ethic, their priorities, and not just about stuff. What do you guys think about that? And lastly, things about leadership. I think that on our platform on Spark SBK Talks, we're going to talk a lot more about this because I think we need to. And the reason why is everybody has this shifting definition of what leadership is. And I think a lot of people have no idea what it is. I'll give you one hint. One thing is, if you think leadership is all about serving you and giving you what you want, you don't want leadership. You want servitude. Leadership is about doing what's best for others, for the team, even if that makes people upset or disappointed momentarily, because the leadership is not just focused on the here and now, it's focused on the future. And I don't think a lot of people lack the capacity and patience to understand how leaders live and how they think. So anyway, guys, what's your thought on what we talked about tonight? We've shared a lot of different things. And I did this in a very quick fashion because I wanted to get on here. I wanted to talk to you guys about a few different things that I think are pressing today. What do you guys think about the whole Charlie Kirk situation? What do you guys think about the high values conversation? And what are your thoughts about on leadership? Do we have any questions in the comments? I'm going to stick here for a couple seconds and see if we've got a couple here. Do we have any questions in the comments? TIQS, it is good to see you. So everybody, I want to give a great shout out to the greatest moderator. He has been with me for a long time. I appreciate you. It is good to see you, sir. Glad that you're here. All right, guys. Well, listen, if you guys don't have any questions, I appreciate you guys hanging out with me tonight. As you can see, my platform, I don't have my camera equipment. We did a conference last night, which was fantastic, and we didn't set it up today. But it is great that we have some backups, so we're on the osmosis today. Hope you guys enjoyed the show. Yep. You know something? Let me address this really quickly. Vic says Kirk was a hater. I have no time for haters. Well, so Vic, are you peddling the same hate you were saying that Vic had? If you are a person who has love, you don't we don't give people what they give to us, particularly if we're Christians. Our job is to do unto others as we would happen to do unto us, not as others do unto us, so do to them. I think we need a little bit more love. And love does not mean compliance or advocacy for racism or bigotry or any negativism. But I think that if we're going to change things around, that this world needs a little bit more love. This is not acquiescence to things that undermine our values. But we don't fight hate with hate. It just begets more, and then situations like we see eventually erupt. Darn says, Kirk was ignorant and confused about the Bible and libertarian economics. I don't disagree with you. I don't really have a disagreement there. I think that, in the world of social media, and this is just my opinion, I'm not casting aspersions on his legacy or anything. And actually, I'm not even just addressing this to him. I think in general, I think generally, I think in the world of social media, I think people opt for things that get clicks, that get views, that gets them booked, even if they don't necessarily believe it. I'm just being honest with you. Now, I can't say that this is the actual truth, but I went back and I listened to certain clips, and certain things were just wrong. They were insensitive. It lacks substance. And I think that just because we debate well doesn't make what we're debating about and our opinion on it true. And there were some things, if I'm just being honest with, it was disappointing. It's good to see you, Lady Anye. Yep, it was good to see you. If I'm being honest with you, and guys, so I am not on here to defend anybody. I'm not on here to agree with anybody. I'm talking about on a human level, him sharing his ideals did not deserve what happened to him. It didn't deserve. Like when you are in the education space, the way you handle Charlie Kirk's beliefs is not with guns, it's with somebody who debates the other side. It is civil discourse. And I think that because we lack the social ability and attention span to have intelligent conversations, we just want to put you out so that we no longer have to broker a conversation and stand by our ideals and justify them and defend them. So people who are stronger in a lot of areas, there are more weak-minded people who, if they can't have an argument that stands up even to somebody they disagree, they're willing to wipe them out instead of for them to grow and develop and engage with them in debate. So this is not to say I didn't agree with. There's a lot of things I didn't agree with, just ethically, as a Christian, as a person. Some things were racist, but regardless of how we slice this, Charlie Kirk did not deserve what happened to him. And if this was you, if this was somebody you loved, I would defend you just like I'm talking about him. Because as a human, your human right is to express your ideas. And people who disagree with you, particularly if you're open to it, can come up on a podcast, debate you. And hopefully, even if you guys will come to an agreement, you come to an understanding. That is democracy. That is the human thing to do. Yes, yo, this is everybody. This is my number one moderator. She's been here since day one. Lady Young, it's good to see you tonight. Glad that you're here. Now, Adar, we're not going to cast any aspersions on his wife. Now, guys, and listen, I think because, we're in the world of social media and we are detached from people's pain, it is so easy to politicize, to talk about, to comment on everything. Let that woman grieve. It may not look like she's grieving to you. We can pick apart how people are responding to it. You don't know the pain people are going through unless you've been in their shoes. So show a little humanity and decency, and don't make it take something negative happening to you before you develop a sense of care and compassion for someone else. Let that woman grieve. It hasn't even been a full week since this has happened. Okay. So I'm sending prayers to the Kirk family, to his wife and daughters, and to those he loved. We don't have to agree politically to love as humans. So I'm sending thoughts and prayers to the family and to anybody who has experienced violence of this sort in any capacity. All right. Um, Tommy Jones, we'll save this debate for not this debate, this conversation for a different kind of conversation. This is more of a spiritual, more of a theological question, which of course we know that it was Lucifer, who after we failed was called Satan. But this is one that if we're going to have conversations, I want to spend time really digging into it and not just arbitrarily answering questions that we don't have any objective to. It's a good question, but we'll save this for a different Spark SPK conversation. All right. No, Dar, I can't say I can't verify that, but I understand your thoughts on this. But I don't want to cast any aspersions that he didn't believe in God, but his skin. I think that man was in search of a truth, most like many people are. He was 31, he was not 81. And I think that even though he was knowledgeable, he was still on the quest to learn more. And we do not know what God was doing in his life. So I don't want to speak that, but I can certainly respect the fact that you have thoughts on that. Yeah, DK, I agree with that. And it's unfortunate, but this is the world we live in. You're correct. People who hear this, they don't care any bit about him. He's trending, he can get views, people can get money, and then as soon as the next tragedy hit, I guarantee you people won't even be talking about him. It's a sad world, because people who talk about you are not talking because they care. They're talking because talking about you gets them something. And I think it shows a very human flaw in humanity that we'll talk about you even if we won't talk to you. That's a very interesting concept. I thank you for sharing that. So this is correct. And so no one's making him a martyr. The situation made him one. There was no need for him to do any extra things. Thank you, Mom. There was no need for him to do anything extra. Yep, thank you. Yep, so there was no need for him to do anything. The situation did that for him. Okay, yep, thank you. Yep. So I don't think it wasn't anybody setting out. It's the situation. You know what I mean? He was speaking about what he believed. He was speaking his ideas on a college campus, and this heinous act happened. It was beyond his control. The situation made this what it is. Not the left, not the right. Vic says, Charlie Kirk didn't protect himself. Whose fault is that in today's world? Does the Pope have a Pope mobile? No, I get what you're saying. I understand your thoughts. And I think that there were some measures to protect, but even if he did all the right things, Charlie did not deserve that. And who would have thought on a college campus that this would happen? Even though it seems to be a growing trend, I don't want us to change the lens and say he should have done more. No, this shouldn't happen to him at all. Let's keep it there. Okay, so he didn't deserve, but he got what he and other Christians think other people deserve. You see, that's casting. I think you're taking points from what he is saying and essentially making the argument. Correct me if I'm wrong. You're essentially saying he got what he put out there. Before I go on, let me know if that statement is a true depiction of what you're expressing, and then we'll go from there. Charlie got rejected from West Point and blamed minorities. I don't know enough about that to give you an educated response, but I do thank you for sharing. AAW says, I've been too busy serving my family and community, reading my word and being about my father's business to even know about Kirk's platform but I don't celebrate a single person. And you see, everybody, this is what I was talking about. This is good stuff here. He doesn't even know who the person was to research, but he's human enough, decent enough to understand that the tragedy that befell Charlie Kirk was not only unfortunate, it was unwarranted, and it was heinous. Thank you, AAW, for saying this. This sums up exactly what I'm talking about. I do not have to know you to be able to decipher between what's right and what's wrong. That's the human thing. That's the American way. That's the godly way. I appreciate you sharing that. Thank you so much. Dar says, but he didn't give a care about Black lives. Black people weren't human to him. And, I hear that. I hear that. But are we saying because he didn't care about a certain people that he deserved this? As I'm saying, guys, when we make these arguments, how far are we going to go with this? Are we saying that because a certain group of people don't care about a different group of people, that this is what they deserve? Is this what we're advocating? Is this what we're saying? If so, I think that's a very wrong thing, a very wrong way to think. And how do we know he did not care? Do you know his heart? Now, if you're saying I heard his words and I heard him say that, then we have an argument. But I think that these are very far-reaching claims that that can create a sense of negative bias that goes right back to that very judgmental way of thinking, saying, well, because of this, he deserved that. And no matter how we slice this, Charlie Kirk and anybody who has expressed their beliefs that did not violate the rights of the Constitution or anybody else's rights, they did not deserve this. All right. Okay. Charlie got rejected from his plan. Yeah, dummy made up that a Black girl got his spot. Haha, what a reject. FIP, dark side people chasing algorithms. Yeah, saying that's his words. Jesus, Matthew, for by your words you'll be acquitted. Yeah. See, this is why I'm bringing this up, because I knew whenever we do this, we bring up scriptures and we cherry pick stuff. When the Bible talks about this, by your words you will be acquitted, and by your words will you be condemned. We're talking about the ultimate judge, which is not you or I. It is God. Right. So this is, again, what we're doing. We take pieces that justify our particular beliefs so that we're right. No, the Bible is not to agree with our opinions. Our beliefs are to agree with his word. All right. And this, for the record, just remember that the Jesus you're talking about here died for a world who rejected him. Romans talks about how we were his enemies and how we didn't love him, but yet Christ died for the ungodly. Right? So this scripture is not made to be used as a weapon to say, well, see, you deserve that. Because if that's the case, then all of us deserve death and none of us should be here. Okay? Even the Bible said to listen to his, I'm not sure what you're saying there. Lady Anye says, listening to a lot of the discussions he had helped me to hear a lot of perspectives and see how emotions could interrupt everyone hearing each other. Absolutely. Absolutely. And looking at some of the debates, you will see that in making points, people who are not clear on their points, they lack the patience to hear another person's perspective, because I think it ruffles their feathers and it really shows some deficiencies in their arguments. And so they talk over you, they project, they say stuff to shut you up because they don't have enough within themselves to overcome the argument. So that's a very valid point. I've seen that on very many debates as well. Yeah, Vic, for this, I agree. So I am not saying that humans are incapable of this and that we shouldn't learn from this. I'm simply making the point that we can't say that Charlie Kirk was the problem. He didn't commit the crime, someone else did. So two things can be true at the same time. He should have protected himself, but equally, the person who did this violated his right to life and is wrong. And I think that should be the focus. If we lived in the 1930s, do we feel bad? No, that's, you see, these are very far-reaching questions. And so we're simply saying we cannot become the hate that we're saying we want to get away from. Now, certainly if we just look at the person who you just mentioned, if they're causing casualties, violating rights, then there are laws to help address things like this. So again, we don't have to become the hate that we're trying to escape, but that certainly doesn't mean that we lose our right to protect ourselves and those we love from people who would do us harm. Okay. If you serve Yahweh, you cannot say someone deserves death. That in itself says that you do not believe that the Savior can turn a heart. Earthly death is permanent. Absolutely. That's a very good point. That's a very good point. Romans was written by Paul, who never met. No, the very conversion that Saul had was that on his way to Damascus, he was knocked off of a horse and he had an encounter with Jesus, which authenticated his apostleship. It was through that encounter that Jesus made known that the zeal that Saul had in persecuting the church was misdirected. And from the very experience with Jesus Christ, his life was changed, and he went from Saul to the Apostle Paul. He went from the person persecuting the church to one who wrote 3/4 of the New Testament because of his conversion. So yes, Romans was written by Paul, and he did meet Jesus. I only look at potential quotes of the Messiah. Paul can, well, that I think that we're being disrespectful. So if we're going to be like this lets me know that you're not here for an argument. You're here to spew your own perspectives, which is the very thing that I'm talking about tonight. So if you keep it respectful, we'll continue to listen. But here, this is a platform of respect and decency. All right. AEW says, I'm not mad at nobody, but the spirits behind the people love people, despise dark. Fantastic point. 100% agree. Tommy Jones, do you love Charlie? Do I love Charlie Kirk? I love God. I love people. I love people. Doesn't mean that I won't protect myself or defend my thoughts or my beliefs, but at my core, I love people. And I believe that we are called to demonstrate the same love that God gives us. It doesn't mean that we are oblivious in that we just acquiesce to everybody else's perspective, but it does mean that our heart is oriented to Christ, and he loved everybody. John chapter 3, verse 16 says, for God so loved the world, for God so loved the world, that he gave his only begotten son, that whosoever believeth in him should not perish, but have everlasting life. So if God can hate a world he created, if the creator can love who he created, then there was no excuse for creation hating creation, right? If you believe Paul met Jesus, you believe. Your arguments are starting to become shallow. So, unless you have something more substantive, I welcome substantive arguments, but I think you're all over the place. I think you're making false equivalences that don't do any justice to this conversation tonight. Okay, all right, guys. Like you guys are asking me kind of crazy questions. Now you're going crazy. So listen, guys, I appreciate all the questions, guys. If you enjoyed this, I fundamentally believe in the right to dialogue and good conversation. If the goal is for us to learn and for us to better understand each other, we live in very dark times, and I think that we have to give some more credence and respect to human intelligence and to the capacity for having good dialogue. Everybody, it's been a pleasure talking with you again. I'm Ernest Hale. I am 1/3 of the platform Spark Talks, SPK for short. So this was just an introductory conversation. We're going to have more just like this. Guys, stay tuned. It's been real. You guys have a great night. Love on people. Do what God says. Love wins. We're going to follow God, and we're going to do what he says. And in the meantime, do good to people just because it's the right thing to do. Have a good night, everybody. We'll talk with you soon. Peace.